right. Welcome, everybody. Let's call the meeting to order for the afternoon of October 4th. Tony.
Jimenez. Perales. Cohen. Here. Crosco. Here. Davis. Here. Esparza. Here. Arenas. Here. Foley. Here. Mahan. Here. Jones. Present. Liccardo.
Present. Thank you. If you're able to stand, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will have an invocation today provided by Rabbi Mendel of the Chabad House, and I believe Councilmember Foley will tell us more.
I'm honored to have Rabbi Mendel present this month's first invocation for District 9. I first met Rabbi Mendel shortly after a fire destroyed their place of worship, the Chabad House located on Branham Lane within District 9. I was immediately awestruck by the rabbi's calming presence. This man and the community had just lost their place of worship, and never once did he let me know how difficult this must be for him, his family, and his community. Even as the embers were still burning, they resolved to not expend undue energy mourning what was lost, but instead turn our attention toward rising from the ashes by rebuilding bigger and better. The extraordinary response from across the entire spectrum of this community has been incredible and uplifting. To date, no less than 3,764 families have contributed to the rebuilding effort. The outpouring of love and support provided the motivation and wherewithal for them to act so boldly and decisively. With the support from the community near and far, the new Chabad House will continue to be located in District 9 along Almaden Expressway. True to Chabad philosophy, it will be a warm, welcoming, friendly, and non-judgmental Jewish home away from home for everyone. Rabbi Mendel, I am grateful for our friendship and look forward to visiting your new home. Yom Kippur begins today, October 4th at sunset, and ends the nightfall of October 5th. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year. It is the Day of Atonement. I'm extremely grateful to the rabbi for taking time out of his busy day as he prepares for Yom Kippur to present the invocation via Zoom for today's San Jose City Council meeting. Rabbi, I look forward to your inspiring words.
Thank you, Councilmember Foley. I would like to take this opportunity to place a dollar bill in which the words "In God We Trust" are imprinted into this charity box. A charity box reminds us all that we have an obligation not only to ourselves and our families, but also indeed to our neighbors and to our society at large. Almighty God, Master of the universe, the members of this august body, the San Jose City Council, convene here today, just moments before Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. It is on this holy day that you look into the speech, thoughts, and actions of every human being and decide our fate for the coming year. Thousands of Jews flock the synagogues in San Jose and mark this day by making amends, asking forgiveness for sins committed during this past year, and looking ahead at a bright and beautiful year ahead. This year's high holidays brings added significance as Jewish communities worldwide celebrate the beginning of the year of Hakel, a once-in-7-year tradition. Hakel is the Hebrew word for gathering or assembling, as we're doing here today, representing the biblical commandment for all men, women, and children to gather in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem once every 7 years, the king would read sections from the Bible to the huge crowd, and the event inspired the nation to fear God and to greater commitment in bettering themselves and their connection to you, Almighty God. Today, too, we can turn this year into a year of unity and inspiration to better ourselves and inspire our neighbors to do acts of goodness and kindness and make this world and our city a more just and kind world for you, Almighty God. Almighty God, I beseech you today to look favorably upon the mayor and honorable members of the city council of our great city of San Jose and bestow upon them the joy of life, good health, and prosperity. Bless these distinguished individuals who have been chosen to make laws and decisions for the citizens of our city with wisdom and understanding in their noble pursuit of justice and equality. Give them guidance so that they will always be conscious of your presence and will strive to enact laws with honesty and integrity in accordance with your will. Grant them the wisdom to turn adversity into opportunity and to transform the hard challenges we face today into the seeds from which will sprout the growth of tomorrow. Almighty God, may our city serve as a beacon of light for people of all walks of life, and may our acts of goodness and kindness usher in the harmonious era of the messianic redemption. Now let us say, Amen.
Amen. Rabbi, thank you very much for your words. And thank you also for forgiving my very clumsy mispronunciation of your congregation. And we are certainly inspired by the resilience of your congregation, and we will certainly do all we can to support the revival of that very important synagogue and ensure that it can continue to prosper in our community. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Okay, let's move forward to our ceremonial items. First, Councilmember Arenas will recognize and proclaim Bullying Prevention Month. I want to welcome members of the community who are here. Advocates, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sylvia Arenas, Councilmember for District 8, and I'm really honored to recognize October as Bullying Prevention Month. For our students here in San Jose and nationwide, there's a statistic that is very alarming, and that is that 1 out of every 5 children will be bullied. And that makes it very likely that one of us knows a child in our lives that has been bullied, and potentially seen also the impacts over time throughout their lives. We used to think that bullying was a rite of passage and experience that all kids went through at school or as part of an organized sport or activity. We see it in movies and the college and the fraternities. It's almost like this is something that some kiddos have to go through in order to toughen up or to fight back or to be men or whatever that status is in that social circle. But we know that bullying is not only devastating while it's happening, it really just has long-term effects. It affects a student's ability to learn, They may not be able to concentrate and just show a lot of decline in grades and self-esteem, confidence and self-worth. And it's not just the victim of the bullying that is affected, it's also the people who are watching this, the students who are part of that classroom who, you know, Jimmy or Timmy, that was a really creative name. That's the only ones I could think of. But anyways, Timmy and Jimmy are also impacted. And they're also going to suffer. And they're going to feel unsafe and helpless and afraid that they're going to be the next target. And at times, they may not even speak up. So we want to make sure that every child has a safe and supported environment. And this is what the people behind me do. So the people behind me work at Leyva Middle School, and and then we also have Dr. Hawkins, who is our superintendent of Evergreen School District. But these folks just do a wonderful job of creating a culture of love and kindness and respect at Leyva Middle School. And Rachel Trowbridge is the principal. And I'm very familiar with her work. She did a wonderful job as a principal at another school in Evergreen School District, and she continues to do a wonderful job here. We also have Jennifer Walczek. She's an academic counselor. And who am I missing here? Kim County. They were supposed to softly and gently whisper it, so this could be very smoothly said. All right, well, that didn't happen. But what does happen at this Evergreen School District and middle school is that there is a campus that promotes kindness through positive behavioral interventions and supports and restorative practices, lunch clubs, after-school sports, and enrichment clubs and counseling supports. So there's a lot that can be done against bullying, and it's not only just our responsibility as adults, but we also have to carry that message to the next generation and share with the children that are in our lives and the youth that are in our lives what those impacts may be. So please join me in recognizing Leyva Middle School and faculty for their wonderful job in having positive intervention program on site. So thank you. And Mayor, once we hear from Rachel, you'll provide her with a beautiful and wonderful commendation.
Thank you, Councilmember Arenas, for recognizing the work that Leyva Middle School has done to address and reduce instances of bullying across our campus. 4 years ago, Leyva entered into a partnership with the Santa Clara County Office of Education to implement positive behavior interventions and supports, otherwise known as PBIS. We partnered in training and received support on a systematic implementation of a decision-making framework for positive social culture at our school. PBIS is a school-wide approach that includes 5 quality characteristics to enhance school climate. 1, promote positive behavioral expectations. 2, teach behavior expectations by modeling what is expected. 3, reinforce positive behaviors with rewards and praise. 4, implement consistent consequences for inappropriate behaviors. And 5, utilize restorative practices to support repairing harm for victims, building empathy, and reducing reoccurrence of problems and conflicts. Our school-wide expectations are simple. Take care of yourself, take care of others, and take care of business. Our goal in creating and maintaining behavior standards is to provide a safe and positive learning environment for our students by emphasizing the positive opportunities to be recognized, get involved, and feel a strong sense of belonging. Rewards and activities play a role in creating a positive school climate. These include, but aren't limited to, Bulldog Bravos, spirit competitions, dances, assemblies, special awards and recognitions, field trips, community and school events, and more. During the 2021 school year, our district implemented Second Step, a social-emotional curriculum for our middle school students. Lessons focused on mindsets and goals, recognizing bullying and harassment, thoughts, emotions, and decisions, and managing relationships and social conflict. Students continue to receive these lessons district-wide through their advisory classes. To foster belonging and inclusivity, we have a wide variety of lunch clubs and after-school enrichment classes to encourage students to get involved and be a part of the school community. We have over 19 offerings ranging from a bug club to various sports offerings and even a K-pop dance club. After school, hey, I know, right? Sylvia's gonna come do that. After-school sports are another great way for our students to get involved. Our after-school enrichment classes are funded through a partnership with the Neighborhood Safety Unit through the Santa Clara County Probation Department. We truly have something for everyone. And lastly, our support services team that includes our academic counselor, our district social worker, plus a number of counseling and social work interns are available to work with students in individual or group settings to receive extra support if needed. At LEVA, we work hard so that students will be inspired to reach their full academic and social potential. We use the strengths of each individual to build an inclusive and collaborative school campus for students, parents, and staff. Thank you again, Sylvia, for the recognition.
Okay, so sorry. Another smooth moment, but this is Patty Andrade. She's on my team, but she also serves our community as an elected official, so she serves as a school board member for Evergreen School District.
Okay, Councilmember Carrasco is on deck. We are honoring Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. I want to thank Nextdoor for being here. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Magdalena Carrasco. And for the past 8 years, it's been my honor to break the silence on an epidemic affecting our community, domestic violence. Among the greatest pleasures and benefits of living in Silicon Valley is enjoying the diversity of our community. I want to be clear about one thing. Domestic violence cuts across all diversity, all socioeconomic backgrounds, racial and religious status, and of course, with no regard to culture, tradition. It could care less about your faith. Domestic violence silences our folks. It forces them into isolation, and it cuts them off from their critical support systems, their families and their friends. If we agree and have a better understanding of this, then it is our collective responsibility to protect those who are currently facing violence. Most of these are women and children. I worked in the field of domestic violence over 25 years ago, addressing the dangerous cycle of power and control. I've witnessed firsthand the lasting damage that it has on women and children. Low self-esteem, depression, little girls who witness it and live with it grow up to be potentially victims. Little boys who live in a household where domestic violence plagues them have a greater chance of growing up to be aggressive. I've always been proud of the work that San Jose and in our region has done. It's always been at the forefront of accountability, of providing resources, seeking justice, and developing networks of support for our survivors. According to the National Commission on COVID-19 and Criminal Justice, the lockdown orders increased the index of domestic violence in the US by over 8%. Likewise, the American Journal of Emergency Medicine found that domestic violence cases increased by 25 to 33% globally. And the March of Dimes organization estimates that 324,000 pregnant women in the United States experience domestic violence annually. Sure enough, we're witnessing a growing epidemic, and within that, it's important to recognize the intersectional between gender-based violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, gun violence, of course, and domestic violence. But let me remind you that in the struggle for power and control, one thing remains true. Our actions resound among those who are looking to be seen. I hope you'll join us in supporting survivors this Friday, October 7th, during our Walk to End Domestic Violence and Light Up City Hall. It will be an evening of solidarity, uplifting performances, a powerful dialogue meant to shine a light on domestic violence, to honor those we have lost, and to help those currently facing violence. Ultimately, this proclamation simply stands as a symbol, but it's letting our community know that they matter, that we believe in them, and that our doors are open to listen and to help. If you're currently facing a situation of domestic violence, please call Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence at 408-279-2962. No one should ever have to live in fear of violence. It's my great honor now to present, or have the mayor, all right, Mayor, have the mayor present the proclamation to Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence. From their humble beginnings in a garage to growing into the second largest and first bilingual violence shelter in the nation. Let me repeat that because I think it's worth repeating. They had humble beginnings in a garage. And you all might know B. Mendez, who was a founding mother of this organization. It has grown into the second largest and the first bilingual violence shelter in the nation. They have been front and center in ensuring the safety of women and children across the region. The services that they provide are 15,000 crisis calls and an average of 3,000 survivors of domestic violence who are served annually. This undoubtedly has saved countless lives. Our city, our county, and region owe you all a debt of gratitude. I'm very grateful for the work that you do, truly. Please join me in thanking and introducing Colsaria Henderson with Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence.
Hello. That was the best introduction I could ask for our organization. My name is Colsaria Henderson, and I have the pleasure of being the Executive Director of Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence. The one thing I will add to that beautiful understanding of the complexity of this work is that the numbers really don't lie. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men, 1 in 3 teens, 1 in 3 teens experience domestic violence, and 1 in 2 LGBTQ folks experience domestic violence. It really is a community level, and we need everyone to participate. So please think about joining us on the walk for awareness this Friday, and just know that Next Door Solutions is amongst our other sister agencies. We cover the gamut. We have crisis services, we have legal services, we have housing assistance, as well as, of course, emergency housing assistance. But we also do prevention work. We work with our schools. We work with families that want to change and shift the dynamics that are so cyclical in our lives. We work with systems to change and shift to end violence in our homes. So thank you so much for allowing us to come. It is such a pleasure, and we hope you'll join us this Friday.
Okay, Councilmember Foley's here, ready to go. We're honoring Rex Winnell?
Yes.
Okay. Rex, come on down.
I'm so honored to make this commendation today. put your baseball cap on or not yet? Okay, all right. There's a reveal coming up. Rex Winnell's love of baseball and kids, both traits he got from his mom, led him to dedicating the past 46 years volunteering with the Branham Hills Little League, and I see some representatives in the audience today. Rex has easily become a member of the family when it comes to the league. He is best described as the spirit of Branham Hill and the league's moral compass, ensuring that every player and family he interacts with knows how important they are to the community and the sport. And I can attest to that. He's taken me around many games, wandering, introducing me to everybody. It's just a delight. If you want to see a game, see it through Rex's eyes. Rex Winnell has done practically everything from coaching and scheduling to sponsoring and coordinating tournaments for the league of 300+ kids. He remains one of the greatest ambassadors of Branham Hills Little League, always chatting with parents and athletes. It's also been noted by umpire Bob Smith that he is constantly handing out Smarties to all the people he interacts with, and he handed out a pin Smartie for me, which I wear in his honor today. Even today, you can still find him coaching the T-ball kids and enjoying every minute, whether or not those little ones are actually listening. Rex truly cares so deeply about the league and leaving a legacy behind that he paid to build new bathrooms at the field with his own money. He has a willingness to share his wealth of knowledge, which helps guide the new generation of board members to make important decisions. Although we know how deeply Rex cares about his league, President Katie Parker said it best. They are truly the lucky ones to have Rex as part of their family, and there are not enough words to say just how much they appreciate his hard work and dedication. Mayor, would you please present the recognition to Rex Winnell, who will accept the commendation and say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you. This is very much appreciated. But it's really not about me. Like she mentioned, the people sitting up front here is Bob and Judy, a great couple with the league, our district administrator, Janice, and our president, Katie. That's what really makes it go. It's a great community, Branham Hills community, and that's what keeps me going. And so I would quote Lizard King Jim Morrison, I'm proud to be a part of this number. Like Councilmember Foley said it, I do thank my mom and dad who introduced me, got me started in this. And I have all these kids every year, but the beauty is I don't have to take them home. Where I'm really validated is when a kid comes up and says hi. That's what keeps me going out there. So I'd like to offer to the mayor and Councilmember Foley free season tickets and remind everybody that the baseball season's coming up.
All right, there it is. That's a lot of courage.
The playoffs, yeah, a lot of courage.
That is, you're a brave man, Rex.
It might be the last. You just got away with it because of who you are. All right, let's move on to orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda? I don't see any hands. So I'll move forward to the next item, which is the closed session report. Nora?
Thank you, Mayor. There's not a report out of closed session today.
Okay. The consent calendar. Are there items to be pulled from consent?
I'll move approval of consent.
Second.
Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, so let's go to the public. Are there any public comments on consent?
I have no hands up.
All right, let's vote on the consent calendar. This might be the first time in our history.
Jimenez. Morales. Sorry, he's absent. Cohen.
Aye.
Crosco.
Aye.
Davis.
Yes.
Esparza. Yes. Arenas.
Yes.
Foley. Mahan.
Aye.
Jones. Licardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Great, let's go to the land use consent calendar first. Item 10.1A, we're skipping ahead again to land use consent. That's amendment to the San Jose Downtown Design Standards and Guidelines and the San Jose Citywide Design Standards and Guidelines. Then you add some additional set of findings to the exceptions and make other technical text changes. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's go to the public on Vice Mayor's motion.
I have no hands.
Let's vote.
Jimenez. Jimenez. Cohen.
Aye.
Crosco.
Aye.
Davis.
Yes.
Esparza. Yes. Arenas.
Yes.
Foley. Mahan.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Licardo.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're making record time. Report of the city manager, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report today.
Well, everybody's in a rush. 3.3, City Initiatives Roadmap. This is the Vision Zero Traffic Safety. We're awarding a contract on McKee Road. Certainly a road that needs traffic safety improvements. Are there any comments from the public? I don't think we have a presentation on this, do we? No. Okay. Let's go to the public first.
Blair.
Blair Beekman here. Did I hear this is the Vision Zero issue?
That's right, item 3.3.
Well, thank you. This is the item, this is going to be a good, healthy new project that has pedestrian sidewalk issues and even American Disability Act things. So this is a really good project. And so there's going to be a lot of technology involved with it. And I just wanted to offer my familiar reminder, the importance of in building our Vision Zero future. It's not just the technology practices that are important, it's the policies that go with the technology that also has to really be considered. And it's that sort of future, that's how you build a Vision Zero future of community harmony. You know, the data collection issues we're dealing with, they're pretty large at this time. And I think we can actually have a grasp on data collection and how to answer questions of civil protection issues a bit better than we used to. And we have to want to be open to want to have those conversations. We've got streetlight technology, we've got ALPR use going on, we've got a lot of issues of data collection that are happening that there can be answers of civil protections with for the everyday public. And we don't have to fear those sort of concepts, and we should be allowed to have those open conversations in the following months. There's a lot of issues around abortion and its data collection practices from, say, streetlights, streetlight tech around the country that it's a real issue at this time. And we have to learn to have those open conversations and not fear it. So good luck to ourselves, what we can really develop in the next few months. As I mentioned, Berkeley has done some really amazing good work with civil protections and data technology and surveillance that happens in their community. They've made important strides. Good luck what we can do also. Thank you.
Back to council.
All right, back to council.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Matt Kano to come up. I have just a couple of questions.
It's Matt Kano, Director of Public Works.
Yeah, Matt, on this project, because there's federal dollars involved, then there's we have DBE goals. And the DBE goals are 31.6%. and the contractor is coming in at 11.21%. My first question is, how do we come up with the 31.6?
Sure. Thank you, Vice Mayor. There's a formula that is in the Caltrans manual that our project managers use, assigning specific pieces of work that could be subcontracted out. There is a little bit of discretion in how this formula or in how the project manager implements this formula, but it is a manual and a process that we follow through the Caltrans guidelines, and then we review that percentage with Caltrans to get their approval before we put the project out to bid.
So would it be a fair statement to say that based on the potential opportunities out there for DBE businesses, that they felt that there was at least 31.6% opportunity for disadvantaged businesses to participate in this contract, based on the universe out there that they have identified?
Sure, and this is definitely something that we want to look more into as we move forward, and when we embark on the disparity study, we want to look at this as well. Our project managers, when they're going through this, they don't have a great idea of who's out there necessarily, but they do have an idea of the type of work that they look at, and so that could or couldn't be subcontracted out. But there isn't a good way for them to compare that to the actual San Jose bidding landscape of disadvantaged businesses.
Okay, this is a unique situation, again, because we have federal dollars. What would be the repercussions of delaying this contract and trying to see if we can get that number up?
Sure. Yeah, if there's the repercussions would be if we didn't award the project to one of the bidders here, we would have to put it out to rebid. So it'd be a 3 to 4 month delay in the project likely. These are safety improvements that have been waiting for a while, and bike lanes that we want to get built. And this project, unfortunately, has seen its share of delays the past year or so already. So the sooner we can get these safety improvements in, the better. Another big concern would be right now we do have a price that, although it is over our engineer's estimate, we feel comfortable with it, and it is about, of the $6.9 million construction award amount, fortunately, $6.2 million is going to local Santa Clara County businesses. And so if we were to put it out to rebid, it's possible we can get a higher DBE percentage, but it's also very possible that the total dollar amount could come in higher, or the local dollars that are in this project would not be there as well. And so, but yeah, so that's my answer to your question.
Okay, and then finally, I know we talked about the disparity study, and that's one of the tools that we're hopefully have to identify the universe of potential businesses. Is there anything else we could have done for this project or for future projects to really close that gap between what the percentage, that goal is, versus what the contractors are coming in on?
I'll have to take that question back and talk to the team to see if there's anything, and dig into the process a little more to see if there's anything we could do differently, maybe on our outreach side. This contractor, the three bidders in this project range from 11.2% DBE to 14.81% DBE, so none of them got close to the 31%. The contractor we're awarding it to sent out written notices to 120 certified DBEs and advertised 2 times for a 2-week period. So they did a lot of outreach and advertisement. So I have some homework to do based on our conversation right now to see why maybe they're not getting as much participation as we would have wanted them to. So I will follow up.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. I'm really torn. My first instinct would be to try to, send this out for a rebid because of the gap in the numbers, but I also realize the urgency of, our Vision Zero efforts and trying to keep our public and pedestrians safe. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve staff's recommendation with my reservation.
Second. All right, motion and second. I'm looking online to see if any of my colleagues wanted to discuss. I don't see any hands. So let's vote on the motion.
Jimenez? Yes. Cohen?
Aye.
Crosco?
Aye.
Davis?
Yes.
Esparza?
Yes.
Arenas?
Yes.
Foley?
Aye.
Mahan?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Liccardo?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, item 3.4 is the city initiatives on the Bill of Rights for Children and Youth Audit Report. I think Councilmember Foley would like to disclose something first.
Yes, this is one of those mea culpa times. Before we proceed with the, and I know that Vice Mayor Jones really hates when this happens. Before we proceed, and me too, before we proceed with the item, I need to disclose an inadvertent Brown Act violation. District 4 reached out to my office requesting my office enter into a Brown Act on an item going to the Rules and Open Government Committee. Unknown to me, the Cohen memorandum pertained to item 3.4, the Bill of Rights for Children, and we had already entered into a Brown Act with Councilmember Arenas, Carrasco, and Perales. It is my understanding that any item that comes through a council committee cannot include the majority of the committee members. At the time, I did not realize this involved a majority of the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee, as I did not realize each of the memos discussed the same topic. I don't serve on NSC, so I wasn't aware of that. These NSC committee members included Councilmember Arenas, Carrasco, and Cohen. So with that, I apologize for my inadvertent Brown Act violation.
I feel like we should invite someone to give confession or something when we do these. Okay, sorry, that's my Catholic upbringing. Okay, let's go to, so who's taking this over? Is it Angel or Jill? Joe, okay, Joe.
So good afternoon, Joe Royce, City Auditor. I'm here to present our audit of the Bill of Rights for Children and Youth, incorporating the Bill of Rights into planning can enhance services. I'm joined by Jill Bourne from the Library, Angel Rios and Laura Busso from the City Manager's Office, and Maria De Leon from PRNS. I'm not moving. Oh, there we go. Went back. Having technical difficulties. There we go. Now there's a delay. So originally adopted by City Council in 2010 and then later revised by the San Jose Youth Commission in 2021, the Bill of Rights for Children and Youth serves as aspirational guidelines to demonstrate the importance of youth to the City of San Jose and to help San Jose youth receive the resources they need to succeed. The Bill of Rights outlines specific rights for children and youth in the areas of health, safety, education, fair employment, and others. In adopting the Bill of Rights, the City Council expressed the importance of the city using it as guidance when considering and developing programs and activities for the benefit of our youth. The original Bill of Rights was modeled after similar guidelines adopted by the state of California and the counties of Santa Clara and San Mateo. The audit was requested by Councilmember Arenas with the objective of reviewing the adherence to and implementation of the Bill of Rights for children and youth by city departments. Following the acceptance of the revised Bill of Rights, the City Council in the June 2021 budget process allocated funding for the administration to develop a Children and Youth Services Master Plan. The goal of this plan is to develop a citywide strategy to serve children and youth in San Jose. It's intended to provide a guidance on policy priorities, investment, and alignment of programs to create an integrated cradle-to-career continuum of services. As this plan is still in development, we did not audit the current efforts to develop the master plan. We also did not audit current roadmap or other policy initiatives that are currently underway. The focus of the work was on the adherence to and implementation of the Bill of Rights for children and youth, as noted earlier. We had two findings. The first finding is that current city programs address many of the elements of the Bill of Rights. The city has many programs and services that both directly and indirectly serve children and youth. The city spent at least $36 million on programs directly focused on children and youth in fiscal year 2020-2021. This included $15.8 million in programs under the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force and related programs, and about $4.4 million in literacy, education, and family learning. Additionally, the city invests in services that indirectly support children, youth, and families. Examples include housing services, infrastructure improvements, public safety programs, parks, general library expenditures, among others. The exhibit on this slide shows PRNS program and library service locations in the city. We note that many of the city's programs address articles in the Bill of Rights. However, there is variability in the extent to which the city is currently addressing each element outlined in the Bill of Rights. In some cases, the city relies on partnerships or coordinates with other entities such as the county or community-based organizations. In other cases, the city has relied on COVID-19 relief funding, which is time-limited and could result in future gaps in services. The second finding is that the Bill of Rights framework should be used to inform the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. The city currently does not have a centralized inventory of all city-provided programs for children and youth. Compiling and maintaining an inventory using the Bill of Rights framework can help the city better understand where there may be service gaps and where it can coordinate with outside agencies. It can also be a useful ongoing resource for staff to be aware of other city offerings outside of their departments and can help inform the city's current equity initiatives around children and youth services. The Bill of Rights framework can also help the master plan process to identify desired outcomes and help the city ensure it is having the impact it intends to. Multiple city programs currently monitor progress toward program-level outcomes. The slide shows different ways city programs measure success, and the city can lean on these and other tools within the city as it develops metrics and means of measuring progress for the Children and Youth Master Plan. In addition, other jurisdictions such as Oakland and Santa Clara County monitor population data to help understand the impact, and we've included examples in the report and in the appendices. These are also means the city can use to measure its impact. We had just 2 recommendations. In developing the Children and Youth Services Master Plan, the city administration should identify a process and resources to develop and maintain an inventory of children and youth programs. This can help document gaps in services and enhance equity and accessibility in services across San Jose. Define and report on metrics to assess overall progress toward outcomes identified in the Bill of Rights, and we should note that these may require coordination with outside partners such as the local school districts or the Santa Clara County Office of Education. We'd like to thank the San Jose Public Library, the Department of Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services, the City Manager's Office, and the Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs for their time, insight, and cooperation during the audit process. We'd also like to thank the Youth Commission. Audit staff met with the members of the Commission to get their perspective during the audit work. We also presented the report to the Commission on September 26th. I'll now turn it over to the administration for their response and ask that you accept the report.
Thank you, Joe. Mayor, Council, Angel Rios, Deputy City Manager. This is a very timely audit in that when this was brought forward by the Youth Commission and ultimately a resolution passed by you all in June of 2021, it was passed as a resolution that was aspirational, right? There really wasn't a strategy, a direct strategy that really detailed how we were going to implement or achieve all these, although many of our library and PRNS programs were indirectly advancing a lot of these, but there wasn't a formal strategy of implementation. And so with the direction that we received last year to develop a children and youth master plan, this really has provided an opportunity, or it's really set the stage actually to really move from aspiration to operation. Many of you know that we've already launched the development of the Children and Youth Master Plan. We've convened a collective of community stakeholders involving key school districts, superintendents, community-based providers, parents, caregivers, you name it. It's a really robust group of folks that are meeting literally as we speak to address these very issues. And our goal is basically to use the Children and Youth Master Plan as the primary conduit to really make these come to fruition. We have greenlit both the recommendations, and in fact, I'm pleased to report that both of these recommendations are already partially implemented, and we're underway. We're not waiting for the completion of the Children and Youth Master Plan to move on these. So we are going after low-hanging fruit, as they say. As we do this work. But our intention is to when we have the final product in terms of the Children and Youth Master Plan, that the Bill of Rights serve as somewhat of a preamble to the strategic goal areas that we identify, and that we will actually define strategic goal areas that align with the Bill of Rights that have come forward. And then we'll be able to track those Bill of Rights using metrics, performance measurement, and goals and objectives to track how we're moving the needle. And so with that, we really welcome this audit and the recommendations herein. And we're ready to continue to move this work forward. So that concludes our administration response.
Thanks, Angel. And thanks, Joe. And thanks to Jill and Laura and all the whole team that's delivering these services daily to our kids. Let's go to the public first.
Sorry, Matthew Tinsley.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Tinsley. Good afternoon, Mayor Liccardo, council members and staff. I'm the director of the Strong Start Initiative at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. On behalf of the County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Marianne DeWan, I want to express our thanks to the city for the careful analysis of how you're implementing the Bill of Rights for children and youth. Access to high quality early learning and care is foundational to the aspirations expressed in the Bill of Rights, and SCCOE is proud to partner with the city to support access to quality care by stabilizing childcare providers, enhancing the quality of city programs, and building a pipeline for early learning and care staff. We look forward to deepening this partnership by expanding our workforce pipeline efforts and through connecting early learning entrepreneurs to small business supports. Similarly, we've been working with the staff from the city's PR&S department to address the need for licensed childcare facilities, which is a major barrier to expanding access to care. We applaud the city's decision to fund renovations that create licensable space in community centers and encourage affordable housing developments to include on-site childcare facilities. We look forward to seeing how the housing element aligns housing and childcare planning across the city. We're proud of our involvement in the city's master plan for children and youth and offer our ongoing partnership on issues of child development and youth success so that all of San Jose's children have what they need to thrive. Thank you.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. It's my birthday today. I'm 54 years old. Hi to everyone.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. This was a really impressive item for myself. I first moved I've lived my whole life, most of my life in the SFA area, and moved to San Jose in about 2005, about the time of the immigration issues that were going on, that were drawing 1 million people marching and protesting. At that time, the concepts of worker rights, civil rights, and human rights was a really important concept and issue that I think we've been really developing ever since in San Jose. I can see it all over the place, in many places, and it's very satisfying and helpful for myself. And to read these items today, I'm learning the concepts of how this sort of item can address bullying. It can address issues of technology and how you can have choices within technology if you're being bullied, or to address your government, to better address your government. The work that I do with the better accountability of technology may be based on these sort of things. That it was part of the initial creed of the future of technology accountability practices, that simply the person should have a voice to speak to government about the technology concerns in their local neighborhood in the future. That was an important factor in this work. So thank you for this item and what can be an important learning process for myself. I hope you can do this sort of thing for elderly care and for Councilperson Carrasco in District 5. Thank you.
Back to the council.
Happy birthday, Blair. All right, Councilmember Arenas.
Birthday congratulatory wishes. So happy birthday. Thank you so much for this audit that has allowed us to elevate what we should be doing for children and youth, right? I think we already know. We've been doing, I think, a really wonderful job of providing support, especially during the pandemic where kids really needed and our families really needed us. And you all stepped up in a way that, I think is very meaningful. We reduced isolation. We created some social opportunities for our kiddos. And even before the pandemic, there's a lot of families, just like myself, that rely on the after-school care, right? I do rock program for my kids. And, well, my 14-year-old is no longer, he just doesn't think he qualifies for a rock program anymore. But anyways, he's doing sports, which is good. So it's part and parcel of what our families do is to take a look in the community and see what good services there are. And one of the reasons why I wanted this audit to happen is because despite having some really wonderful programs, what we don't have, and one of the findings that you have here, Joe, is that we don't have a centralized inventory, right? And there isn't something that pulls everything together, right? And so we've seen this not necessarily create any issues, but there's a sense of every department, every program, every service does what they need to do, and don't know their place in the larger ecosystem in terms of how important they are for the programs and services. And so we started seeing that quite a bit in 2020 when we came back online after summer. And, we started talking about developing logic models. And then Jill, you stepped up to the plate and you logic modeled everything out. And not only that, but you had already set it up for quality standards, right, for each of the different categories of our youth. And so I just think it was all moving in the right direction to pull this all together, because this is basically what this is, and the Bill of Rights allows us to recognize is that we are doing right by our kiddos. Can we do better? Absolutely. And that means that we need to be coordinated and efficient and also work with the continuum of care that is beyond the city of San Jose, because we do some things that are very good and do them very well, but there are things that the county offers, or Santa Clara County Office of Ed offers, or First Five, or any other agency, and we need to see where we fit. And so this is part of also this work plan that we had discussed shortly after this challenge of logic models and figuring out this theory of change, because we have to figure out what is it that is working for our children and our youth. The point isn't just to offer a program, it's to offer an opportunity for them to develop a skill, connect with a friend. I mean, you all know this, I don't have to tell you this, but that's how our systems continue to evolve and respond, right, to the needs of our children and youth. And our children and youth are in a completely different place than they were before 2020. And so I'm really excited that we've adopted logic models for some of the programs, and those allow for us to be responsive, right, in a way that that really honors our children and our youth. And I just got to tell you that this weekend, I was at this event, and I didn't know this mom and these two kids, but they went to this event that I was attending on a Sunday morning, only to tell me how much they appreciated the work that we did over at Eastridge, and that they loved the teen center. And this was a family that was in transitional housing, but transitional housing for 2-3 years isn't easy, right? So they found a place at Eastridge, and the kids came, right? They were 14 and I don't know, I think 13. And I was just struck with, wow, you know, what we do, this is why we do what we do, right? And so anyways, I'm just really excited that we can pull all of this together. And this is what this memo is intending to do. It's not intending to do anything different. What we want to do is basically just pull all of the work that we've done so far and organize it. So we're going to put it into a work plan. We're going to figure out how much money are we really investing into with our children, and that's the part where it has the children and families budget. We're not asking for additional money. We're just asking for us to take an account of what we spend and what we invest in our community. And then the other piece is the Office of Family Friendly Policy. Now, Laura, you're kind of functioning as the office, one woman show, and I think that what we need to do is just call it what it is, right? You're overseeing a lot of the programs that are happening and that impact our children and youth, and you're considering that whole ecosystem so that we can have a comprehensive and just a plethora of services that our children can take advantage of. Also, not just within our own system, but you're doing it outside of our system. You're doing it with the county, right? Because we can't be everything to everyone. And so, to me, this is just really formalizing what you're already doing. And that's part of recommendation number 3 on my memo that I'm really grateful my colleagues agreed to be part of. And I've got to say, you know, that the folks who joined our Brown Act are folks who have created advocacy within their own communities in a way that has changed them, like really changed them, right? And Councilmember Foley, you know, I know you have your passion is with differently abled people and the LGBT community, and it, you know, and it really shows. And so it was wonderful to have you on board. And of course, Councilmember Carrasco asked for something I think similar in last year's budget, which was a cradle to career, I think it was. It was through the budget. And so this is all just gathering everything up and putting all of these pieces in a way that makes sense. And so anyways, I hope that everybody else can see it the same way and can provide the support for our memo, but more importantly, to do right by our kids, to do right by our youth. You've heard them in terms of their voices. They gave us feedback for the Bill of Rights, and their voices are included in this whole process. And so now we need to just put a seal of approval and continue to move forward, because I know that there's a lot of changes coming in the county with their cross-agency system teams that they are working on internally now, which is the same idea, right, that we have here, which is basically let's provide the best service for our children and youth. Let's not have a wrong door, and let's make sure that our systems are efficient. So with that, I'm going to ask, I'm going to make a motion and hopefully ask my colleagues for support. Hopefully I will get that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is that a motion on your memorandum?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Councilmember Foley. Staff, did you want to jump in or should I go to council?
Yeah, Mayor. First of all, I just want to acknowledge what Councilmember Arenas highlighted in terms of all the progress that has been made, because we are literally building a system here. We're literally building opportunity pathways, as she mentioned, and there's been a lot of hands that have kind of touched this path, and we're real excited about the momentum that's being built with all the different stakeholders. Really excited about our partnership with the county, because one of the things that we're really trying to do is make sure that we could, if there's a child and their family that comes in through whether it's a library coding program or one of our preschool programs or after school programs, that we have an opportunity or an ability to connect them directly into behavioral health, if that's what's needed, mental health, drug detox, the healthcare system, and so we're really excited about that. I will say, in terms of this proposed memo, I would ask that we, especially as it relates to recommendation number 3, I would ask for greater flexibility and latitude around the structure of the way we staff this, right? That perhaps during the MBA, as we develop it, that gives us the space and time to really evaluate, different models, different formats, or different structures, if you will, that will best position ourselves for success long-term in terms of interdepartment coordination, as well as our partnerships out with external stakeholders. I know this refers to a specific office within the city manager's office. I would just ask that maybe you would give us just greater latitude to, of course, examine that as an option, but to also look at other options from a structural standpoint if that is okay. I think that'll just give us a little bit more breathing room to make the right decision.
And Angel, can you clarify, because right now I think our current position, is it funded for 2 years? Did you find that out for me? Just
Yeah. Right now, the current staffing resource that we have, which is Laura's position and $75,000 in consulting money, will take us through June of 2023. So we're in our second year now of that funding.
Okay, I just wanted to put that there, so we can certainly in the MBA talk about that cost going forward, consultant dollars, the position and everything when we issue the MBA for sure. Then I just wanted to make sure we knew. I wasn't quite clear when the 2-year clock had started. So thank you for clarifying that. So we can certainly address those costs in the MBA, and so council has that full information.
Let's go to the maker of the motion.
I'm very open to that. Absolutely. I know that you all have been working on this for a really long time. Even before we called it anything, the concept was there. So I'm absolutely open to, whatever that structure looks like. Yeah.
Okay, and Councilmember Foley's nodding her head, so.
I agree with that as well, thank you.
The motion's amended. I just want to also ask for some clarification from the maker. I'm looking at the same paragraph, line 3 of paragraph 3 of the recommendation about to extend existing one-time funding to formalize the policy director position. I want to make sure it's clear that we're not directing that funding today. What we're asking the city manager to do rather is to draft this MBA that will describe how much it's going to cost so that council can vote on it in March. Is that right?
Right. This is all in preparation. Mm-hmm.
Or June, right. Oh, yeah, the June process. Okay, great. Let's go to Councilmember Cohen.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the audit and the report. And thanks to my colleagues for all of their work on youth issues relating to youth. I just wanted to talk about the recommendation in my memo as well. And as I go around the city and I meet with youth, I just see their passion in the young people for participating in our civic process. They are leaders on various issues, whether it's climate, education, or other things very important to them in their communities. And when I talk to them, there are many out there who want to get more involved and ask me how to get more involved. I also learned that other cities in our state have dedicated spaces on their commissions for youth membership. So I had been planning at some point to make this proposal, which fit in nicely with one of the items in the audit that we had talked about youth participation on commissions and hadn't really made progress there. So I would like to ask the maker of the motion to include the recommendation in my memo. And I just wanted to clarify that in my memo, I'm asking the Youth Commission to be empowered to do an analysis of how they can be more involved and how they can add the most benefit. We're not, without over specifying as a council where the youth should be participating in the city, let the Youth Commission themselves learn what our commissions do and determine where their voices would be most useful to our city process, and then come back to council and let us have a discussion at that point about how we implement that kind of process if they so desire to increase their participation. So I hope that we can include my memo in the motion. So I'm asking for a friendly amendment, I guess, for the maker of the motion.
I requested to speak. Is that
Sure.
okay? Sure. I think that I'd love to hear from Jill, who is now leading the Youth Commission. Just to, I mean, I think it's a fabulous idea. We are always trying to figure out how do we bring the voices of the youth into what we are doing. And I know that during this pandemic, there is an awakening of social justice and responsibility, and so I just want to make sure that this is in line with what the vision that the Youth Commission has already established. I mean, just give me some feedback.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Jill Bourne, City Librarian. I actually was articulating in my mind a response that was very similar to what you just said, which is that elevating youth voices is a very high priority for the commission, but also for the city. And so I think the concept of it is extremely sound. And I think with the understanding that what's proposed is that we work with the Youth Commission to have this conversation and figure out how structurally we would work with them through, is it research, is it a dialogue, what ideas they might have about not only more involvement, but better representation of all youth across the city, because that's something we've talked about quite a bit. And what are ways to ensure that youth from all neighborhoods in the city are having the opportunity to, sit on a commission or, have their voice heard in that formal way. So I think we're very willing to make an effort at this. We're not quite sure what the path will look like, but I think the goal is sound, and I think that there's an openness to have us come back to the NSC to report on our progress.
That would be great. I'm glad you brought up the composition of what the Youth Commission typically is, and that is a lot of college-bound kiddos, which I think is fabulous, but they don't represent the majority of our children, right? When we hear some of the statistics, and I think Councilmember Carrasco, you said 75% of our children in the East Side, is it the high school district, do not go on to higher education, right? And they land minimum wage jobs, which is a statistic that is atrocious, right? And so we need to make sure that we're listening to the folks who are really hurting, right? And I would love to see this as an opportunity to actually do that, to expand those voices. There's California for Justice that is established through a lot of the school campuses, and it's very well integrated already. I'm familiar with the one in Overfelt. I think there's a number of other. I wanted to add another one for this year over at Silver Creek because of the violence, but it wasn't approved. But I think there's a lot of potential for us to work with something that already exists, a pipeline that's already established, so that we can tap into those folks who might not be coming, come forth to the Youth Commission. So I'm excited about seeing that be more formalized, that kind of recruitment and makeup of the Youth Commission. So it sounds like it's a good idea. It sounds like you're on track with what I was thinking too, Councilmember Cohen. So more than happy to add that to the friendly amendment.
Okay, and with the seconder
Likewise.
who is also nodding. Okay. It's amended. Councilmember Kraska.
Thank you. Just a few things, I guess. I'm excited about where the city is going as it relates to our youth, and of course, especially our kiddos who are in very challenging situations. And we know how difficult it became once the pandemic hit, and post-recovery is going to be even tougher, I think, for our youth. They've lost, the estimates is that they've lost up to 1.5 years of their education. The social and emotional impact on them is still untold. I think we're just barely scratching the surface. But the city has an abundance of resources, even before the pandemic, the kind of work that we were doing, that you all were doing and leading. And so a few things that just come to mind. One is it's heartening to see that our youth are so interested in being involved and having their voices heard for whatever reason, but they have a vested interest, and they have they're letting us know how important the city is to them, but how important their future is, especially as we're dealing with potentially life-altering, life-threatening moments in the near future. And so what better than to hear from them? I did want to ask about, so what impresses me more about this kind of work is being able to coordinate and to follow our youth from point A to point B, and hopefully all the way to point Z, versus allowing kids to just kind of maneuver through a very complex labyrinth that is the city. It's complex for employees. It's complex for council members, but for kiddos who are coming in and they're trying to really take advantage of the services, for parents who are looking for that support system, especially in served communities, it's daunting. And I remember when I had a preteen and 3 toddlers, at one point I think I just kind of, after 1 year of pre-K, I kind of threw my hands up in the air because it was just too complicated to deal with 4 schedules, and so we provided what we could at home. But that's someone that had resources. I still had resources that I could rely on, and some of our families don't have any of that. And so to be able to capture that moment in time, as brief as it may be, or whatever length of time, I think really not only maximizes the work that we do, but it leverages sometimes very limited resources. So in 21, during the budget process, I submitted a budget document for a youth development office. And we're one of the few large cities that still doesn't have one. And so I don't anticipate that this is what it will turn into, although I could always, cross my fingers. I won't be here after December, so I hope somebody else will take up that fight. Because I do think that the city of San Jose should have its own dedicated office that's focused on youth development, where all of this is captured, and where we really elevate the policies and the director's work and the staff's work, and we are accountable to what the end product is. Are we giving our kiddos quality programs that open doors and give them access and have potentially life-changing experiences? I was a product of Gardner Community Center. It's where I learned how to throw a baton, for any of you who are starting a parade. I can twirl a baton, but it's where I learned how to dance, whether it was disco at that time or my favorite, yes, I'm a disco dancer, hustle baby, for caloric dancing, which was just became a love of mine. But it gave me an opportunity to experience what public speaking was, what being on stage was, what performances were, how to control your nerves in front of an audience, how to choreograph, it just gave me so many opportunities, untold, and I couldn't even count them because there were so many. But it is also where I learned to swim and how to dive. And so for someone that was not athletic, swimming became my thing. And so these were opportunities that cannery workers couldn't give their kids. But I had the opportunities because the community center, Gardner Community Center, was right across the street from me. So I could walk while my parents were at work, and my mother signed me up, and I had free lunch, and they didn't have to really worry about me. I was supervised and really kept out of harm's way. I lived in the Horseshoe neighborhood. We've heard other folks call in, but it wasn't the friendliest place for children. So there was a lot of dangers, and I attribute the fact that I had a real course directed for me to the community center that kept me on track, and to mentors that really took a liking to me, and they just, kept an eye on me. So I guess making sure that our children have that quality programming is paramount to making sure that this is successful, and making sure that we watch where our kids are going and how we can continue to assist them. I've brought up what was upsetting to me, the disparity in the programming for our senior citizen. And I've talked about this at NSC, I've talked about it here at council. But when I looked also at the programming for youth at Mayfair versus Almaden and Camden and Southside Community Center, it was there was no educational or enrichment programs, and it was the lowest number. It had the lowest number of classes offered to them. The majority of them in camps, and so camps are during the holidays and during those long weeks that the kids are out of school. And I bring that up because we know Mayfair is one of the lowest performing communities in the entire county in terms of kiddos that either graduate from high school or they end up in a 4-year institution. And so a huge concern for me when I see that in Mayfair, where we should have a robust program and a robust schedule and high quality with that Olympic-sized pool, that our kids should be benefiting from that. And when you compare it, it's quite the opposite story. And so I just want to make sure that I say that because, whether I'm here or not, it's something that I'm going to be tracking because it just means that much to our families and to our children. And so, there was $70-something thousand that instead of the Office for Youth Development, $70,000 were attributed to a consultant. And if you could just give me an idea, Angel or whomever, on the status of that.
Yeah, for sure. So the actual budget action was $500,000 to fund a 2-year position, which is an executive to the city manager, along with $75,000 in consultant money. That $75,000 is what we're currently using to work with consultants to develop the Children and Youth Master Plan. And we have been blown away by the level of community engagement, the way the community has embraced this work, whether it's school superintendents, whether it's community-based organizations, whether it's youth. We are getting a tremendous turnout and response from young people that want us to know this is what you got to include in this plan, right? And a lot of this work, just on a side note here, is driven by, we had a conversation with a group of teens in the Winchester Cadillac area, in Vice Mayor Jones' district, and they had just finished their first San Jose Works summer program experience. And we were having this round robin conversation, and one of the saddest revelations of that was the concern that they expressed around not knowing whether they're going to be able to live in the city that they were born in. And that we keep that story front and center in the work that we're doing interdepartmentally and with the pretty amazing team that we've assembled cross department and within our city manager's office as well. Because ultimately this is about creating a system of community care, and the operative word being community, where this is not just about kind of an inventory of just programs, but it's rather the way we weave these programs together to create a career pathway, a cradle-to-career pathway that transcends age, right? Whether you're 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, all the way up. And it's done in a manner where it's people-centered, people-focused, and where we build community around it, where in true community fashion, people look after one another. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish. It sounds a little pie in the sky, sounds a little touchy-feely, I get it. But the reality is that that's a big fear and concern that young people in our city has, and that's what we're trying to do. And so we are building this opportunity pathway, and this is just the start. I mentioned earlier, we're really pleased about the progress we're making with the county in terms of a lot of headway in terms of creating the actual system. We actually have an inter-organizational team of county directors and city key leaders that actually are meeting on a parallel track as we do this work to develop that actual no wrong door approach, right? That says, how does a kid from a library go over to access mental health services? And we're actually building that out as we speak. We'll fold that into our overarching strategic plan. And our hope is that what we end up with is not just some nice sounding strategic plan, but rather an investment portfolio for how we truly invest and get and engage our young people so that, number one, they can stay here. Number two, they're happy being here. Number three, they become meaningful leaders in our own city. And I'll tell you, the group that is doing a lot of this work, and there's so many. I mean, we're up here in the box, but there's so many others that are helping with this work. They are up for the challenge, we simply can't express kind of the momentum that we're seeing inside the organization as well as outside of the organization.
And that's exciting, especially with the challenges that San Jose poses to everybody, to all of our families. But our youth who want to stay here, they don't see a way of doing that yet. Mm-hmm. I mentioned that I had a lot of mentors, and I wish I knew their names because they were city workers, right? They had to have been working there or through nonprofit organizations. So I'm grateful to those who were in my life early on. While my parents were working at the cannery. I do want to mention one person, which is Mrs. Ramos, who introduced me to camping and theater and dance and took me in as part of her family. She just lived down the street from me. You may know her children, Patricia and Terry Ramos, who I grew up with them in the household. But it was a lot of her mentorship. And which she exposed me to. I was not exposed to those things. I was very, very sheltered because that's just the life that we had. So I just wanted to mention that I'm grateful to Mrs. Ramos for everything that she did. Thank you, Angel, and I want to thank the entire team for working on this. I really appreciate it on behalf of all our kiddos, but especially those who I think we should be raising the bar in their communities in terms of the quality of programs and the kind of programs and the exposure that we give them. We should be raising the bar. It should not be the same that we have, that we expect in all the other communities. The communities of color, the communities that are being most challenged, we should be raising the bar in terms of the quality that we expect from our partners to be providing for those kiddos. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, other questions or comments from the council? I just had one. I wanted to refer to the response to the audit. I think it's on pages, I think it's 8 and 9. It makes reference to the data zone. And I know this has been something of an obsession of mine. I really hope, I know this has been a really hard thing to do, which is to get lots of these silos to share data about how kids are doing in the different systems. But, I looked at, the audit included information about Oakland's doing to measure outcomes. And it's basically asking an 8-year-old how they feel about a program. That does not, to me, feel like a very reassuring measure of an outcome, because I want to know kids are going to class, kids are graduating from high school. If they're in youth probation, then they're satisfying the requirements and being able to improve their lives in some way. And so I can't emphasize enough how important I think this is. And I know it's hard because it involves lots of people and lots of organizations that we don't have any control over. It's all about collaboration. Can you guys just give me a sense of where we're at in this? You know, how much can we, at this point, garner to determine whether or not a 14-year-old who has been really troubled is hanging in there and is doing a little better than they were doing last year?
Yeah, and Mayor, as you know, this is a big challenge, right? And if you look at the Oakland model, or if you look at some of these other cities, most of them rely on self-reported data, to your point, right? And many would argue that's pretty subjective. You know, I do think that there's a place for self-reported data, but I don't think it should be the majority of the measure, right? Because it is too subjective. As we're leaning into this work, what we're basically saying on the front end is, what are the overarching measures that we need to keep track on? So, for example, if you're a 5-year-old in one of our preschool programs, are you learning and ready for kindergarten? And how do we assess that, right?
Yep.
Because that could be determined by a pre and a post test. If you are in school and you have a high truancy, rate, then we measure truancy. Has there been a course correction there? If you are a first-time offender, second-time offender, what is the recidivism rate? We know the county recidivism rate is 70%. If through our programs we can knock that down significantly, then that'll be a measure of success. So we're trying to distill the macro performance measures that tell a good part of the story. We also know it doesn't tell the entire story, but then trying to couple that with how do we also measure impacts based on lived experience, which is more difficult and less scientific, right? When you start tapping into, for example, issues of harm reduction, right? You know, I have a gun, but if I make a decision not to use it, well, how do you measure that, right? You know, I can't say somebody was killed, but we could say, well, you made a decision to turn your gun in, right? So we're trying to work through all those. The good news too is that as we've been doing a lot of one-on-ones with a lot of the key stakeholders. So we haven't just jumped into like just big community meetings. We've done a lot of, we've taken really a community organizing approach to this work and have done a lot of one-on-ones. And in our top 3, when you look at our agendas that we talk about, number 2 is always around how are we going to share information, and we can't start with, oh well, it's just too confidential, and we're going to have to be smarter and more strategic around that work. We don't have it all figured out just yet, but the consultants and folks that we're onboarding are being onboarded with that in mind. And Jill, I don't know if you want to add, because you've done a lot of work with the library around standards and all.
Yes, thank you, Angel. Just to add about the question around data zone, the data zone is a product of this County Office of Education, and we entered into agreements with the county around that data for the exact reason that you articulated, which is how do we know when the city invests in a program to help our students, as you were saying, Councilmember Carrasco, how do we know that there's an impact? How do we know that they're, have less truancy? How do we know that their grades are going up, right? So what we have found is that the data zone's been really useful in cases where the city invests in a program like SJ Learns or SJ Aspires, where we can say that part of the partnership and the funding requirement is that data is shared. And it is, anonymized however it needs to be anonymized, so that we can actually have a hard measurement around skill increases, whatever the measurement specifics are, as our deputy city manager was saying. So I think it's been really helpful in that way. It is still challenging because we do have so many school districts as well as other educational agencies that not everybody is contributing to the data zone consistently. So it's not a perfect solution, but it has been useful for specific programs. So I think that, as Angel said, we're going to have to continue to find what are the real hard sources of data as well as the experiential data.
So when we've got a contract and there's city money in it, there's sort of a hook in there, and then districts are perhaps more likely to lean in that case. Is that right?
That is what happened with our SJ Learns, and although we've worked with districts that couldn't do that on occasion, but there is a strong commitment to collecting empirical data as well as experiential, sort of more subjective data.
Yeah, and the way, and one of the ways that we're incentivizing that conversation is that, you know, we also realize that we're not going to be able to fund this entire investment with general fund money, right? So really, we're going to need to tap into the power of leveraging other resources, you know, be it other government agencies, whether it's the county, the state, the federal government, but also tapping into community philanthropy and corporate sector, right? And so we already know that they're going to want to see results. They're going to want to see data. You know, and so the way we're incentivizing this is that, look, our goal is not to kind of, you know, raise all this money and just bring it into the city, but to raise all this money and bring it into an investment portfolio that invests in children, and that money will go to whoever it is that's providing that direct service, as well as who's also leaning in with us around how we measure this. And Laura, I don't know if you want to add something about CAST, but.
Yes, good afternoon. Laura Buzo, Assistant to the City Manager. And I just wanted to also mention that our work with the county around their CAST, Cross-Agency Services Team, there's a data work group. And there's different organizations and partners at that table. There's County Office of Ed, Behavioral Health, Social Services Agency, community-based organizations, and then more recently, the City of San Jose. And so that data work group is looking specifically at those issues, right? Like, how do we share information? If we build this coordinated system of care throughout the county, and we want to ensure that families are accessing and experiencing these services, what does that impact? And so through this data work group, their task is to unravel that. How are we going to set our systems up to be able to share information, but also share information so that families aren't having to tell their story at every entry point. So if they go to the library, or they go to the community center, or they walk into a county building, they're not having to repeat their issue or concern. And so that'll be an ongoing process. We're at the table with them, and so we'll be able to access those opportunities as well.
Thanks, Laura. I agree. That's another very compelling reason to do this integration. I just want to understand sort of who's involved at this point. I know with school districts, it depends on the particular relationship or the contractual agreement or whatever it might be. Do we have, for example, county probation in, for example, for our gang prevention programs?
Yeah, Mayor, absolutely. So starting with school districts. So, and I think it's important for us to back up a little bit. The way we're approaching this work is we're taking a citywide approach with a focus on vulnerable neighborhoods, right? So you know, we also want to be inclusive of the entire city, right? But with a very focus on vulnerable neighborhoods. And so we have reached out to for the key school districts. So we got Franklin McKinley School District, Elm Rock School District, Eastside Union School District, and the County Office of Education. All four of their superintendents are on our community task force and are directly involved. They bring, they've also identified other staff that work on other subcommittee work that we do, but we definitely have the superintendent level leadership at the table. Similarly, behavioral health, mental health, we got the directors of all those different county agencies also at the table. We have an internal executive team that is guiding this work. That's an internal team. We're also connecting the dots internally, right? You know, we're taking a look at, and this kind of gets back to Joe's recommendation around this inventory. We're building on that inventory to really connect the dots. So, for example, the digital the educational literacy, the digital equity access work. We have so many acronyms on this. You know, in and of itself, they do really good work. But when we connect that work to other families, and then all of a sudden that digital access leads to a better paying job, or to then now we just went from good to great, right? And so that's kind of how we're building this model. I will tell you that we have 51 members on our community task force. I know it's a large number, but it was hard to kind of whittle it down. Our first big test was our first kickoff meeting was on a Friday before a 3-day weekend, and we had everybody show up except one person. And the one person that didn't show up sent. Actually, it was funny because it was a school person who sent a snapshot of the retreat that they were at, almost as proof. But in any case, we have probation at the table because we know we have to tackle you know, issues around diversion and reentry if we're going to make our neighborhood safer. We're connecting the dots around with the new update around the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force, we're loading that into this continuum of care, right? So that a lot of the work that we do leading up to it is a lot of prevention, early intervention work, but then we'll also be tapping into the violence prevention work that'll come out of the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force. And so again, tapping into the leverage, economies of scale, just being smarter about how we work, and then doing that in a way where we're trying to build community around this, right? Where people know each other by name, not by title or not by, but where, it gets that granular in terms of an approach.
And to appreciate all the work and energy that's gone into this, and happy to talk more offline. I just think at some point it would be helpful for maybe the council to know kind of who's in and who's not. So what we can do is maybe present a really strong united front. Maybe a few folks will feel FOMO if they're left out and they'll want to join in. And where they don't, maybe we can have conversations with school board members or whatever to try to encourage them that, I think this is the kind of thing where conversations at all levels could help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, Councilmember Carrasco.
I'll make it quick. Thank you for all of that, because there was a lot going on in my head as the question came up. But, everybody measures success and happiness in different, from their own value system. But when I hear you say that youth are afraid of not being able to stay in the city where they were born and raised, we can't get away from the economics of our lives. I may love to paint on the side of people's houses, but that might not, unless I'm really great at it, maybe, I don't know, might not give me enough to survive here. So I'm just wondering, back in my day, they called it upward mobility. And I don't know if you're measuring that, and that might be post, years post the time that they're with us, but be able to, when you think of like, how do you measure things and you're grappling with some of it, for me, it's, do our kids have an opportunity to choose do they have agency over their future? Do they get to choose their career, or are they just sidelined into something that, neither does it pay them what it needs to pay them in order to survive here, or they just don't like it? This isn't what their aspirations were when they were little, and you could think of anything, like, what are you going to be when you grow up? And, and you think of like the wildest of things. And then somewhere along the lines, those dreams just kind of get, erased from our memory bank. So I would like to see how we build in there agency and upward mobility.
Yeah, Councilmember, and thanks for bringing that up, because, one of the things that we found when we started looking into kind of, the systems of the past, almost in every situation, we have services for people that address them at their point of need, but rarely do we find ways for us to create economic prosperities. And so if we're gonna really confront the cycles of poverty, then we have to break down those cycles and then replace them with cycles of how do you access economic prosperity. And so we've actually built that into our overarching goals right from the get-go, because, and we're making no bones about it around, look, if we're gonna create opportunity pathways, we can't just, skirt around the issue. We have to be very clear about, if in fact you want to stay in this city, and if you're going to do that in a way where you could kind of provide for yourself or your family, whatever your situation is, then you're going to have to learn how to access economic opportunity, and do it not as we tell you, but do it based on whatever decisions you make, right? Because it's a two-way street. And so we are building that in to this work on the front end. And with that in mind, we're also reaching out to corporate sector leaders and others in the community that have access to those type of resources. And so we've made some good headway, and we're also open to other contacts that you all may have in terms of your respective networks, but we definitely want to start with that in mind. And the other thing I would add is a real strong emphasis on really kind of instilling this sense of, understanding that there's power when you maximize your fullest potential, and kind of just learning to just be the person that you were created to be, and trying to take it from an esoteric kind of concept to how do we operationalize that through these, through an after-school program, through a,
If I may just add, I was asked to speak at a hospital a few months back. This is when things were starting to lift. And I was really surprised when I sat down with the CEO. I won't mention who it is right now, but the CEO of this hospital said to me that in the peak of our pandemic, his nurses were getting paid $250 an hour. An hour. Let's do the math real fast. $250 times 4, that's 1,000 times 8 hours. That's $2,000 a day, not a week, not a month, a day. And when we were able to talk to the youth that were there, they were brought in from an Eastside High School, district school. We didn't have to go into what's your socioeconomic status, what's your belief system, do you believe in transfusions, whatever. We just said, let's break down the numbers, and you tell me what you think of it. And, you know, eyeballs this big and ears perked up. I've never had such a captive audience. Not even with my fancy title. Not even when I was Vice Mayor Chappie Jones. Then I went home and I told my 3 teenagers, hey, let's do the math, you know, on this. I just learned something very interesting. So we did the math, and I said, if I could find you a job like this, would you be interested? Came out to over $500,000 a year. That's a game changer. Whether you're a single mom, or you're married, or you're committed to someone, or you're just having fun, right? That's a game changer. And for Eastside kids, they've never heard this. And one of my kids said, if you go back to school, I'll go back to school with you. You know, I mean, I'll go to school with you. And I was like, it's tempting, you know? It's like, I am done in December. But my point is, it was simple. I just connected the dots. You know, what kind of life do you want? What do you envision for yourself? How do we break that down? And again, a lot of our kids, they're just looking for hope, and they're looking for a way to stay here, but they're looking for a way of how to help their families and change their communities. And unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic society where, you know, we can't escape the finances of things. And that was about the simplest way that we could draw it out for students who were looking to see, how do we improve our lives and that of our parents? And what do I need to do since I'm only 17 or only 16? And I'm telling you, we got a bunch of recruits that are interested in getting into the medical field.
That's right. All right. Any other comments? I don't see any online. So let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Crosco,
Aye.
Davis.
Yes.
Esparza, Arenas.
Yes.
Foley.
Aye.
Mahan.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Liccardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, our final item is the Clean Energy Resilience Agreements with Middle River Power and Sentinel Energy Center for Resource Adequacy and Dispatchable Energy. Lori and team will have a presentation. Welcome. I should note that council members who own stock valued at $2,000 or more in Mitsubishi Corporation or Partners Group Holding have a conflict of interest in the Sentinel item and must abstain from participating in item 6.2B. However, the conflict of interest is removed. The stock is sold or the value of interest becomes less than $2,000. Hi, Lori.
Great. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Lori Mitchell. I'm the Director of Community Energy, and I'm very pleased today to be joined by Jean Soleil. She's our Deputy Director of Power Resources, as well as Harry Briggs. He's the newest member of our team. He's our Principal Power Resource Specialist, as well as Prachi Avansi, who is our Division Manager of Risk Management and Contract Administration. So this item is RA paired with dispatchable energy resources. And just as background, as you know, since our launch in 2019, San Jose Clean Energy has contracted for over 500 megawatts of new renewable and energy storage resources, So we're very proud of this. Some of these projects include a very innovative 62 megawatt solar and battery storage project located in Kern County, and the project delivers between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. every single day, which is very unique for a solar project. And how they achieve that is by installing additional solar panels and then pairing that with battery storage. Another project we're very proud that came online this year is a 225 megawatt wind project located in New Mexico that delivers directly into California. And then we have many other projects that are in development and construction, including a 200 megawatt solar and 10 megawatt battery storage project, 45 megawatts of long duration battery storage, which is 8-hour batteries, and then 34 megawatts of geothermal contracts, which we recently approved. So despite these significant investments, we do have some challenges with our portfolio that the team has been working on, and primarily during the summer, we have some challenges in that additional load shows up when we see temperatures over 90 degrees. And so this doesn't happen all of the time in San Jose. It happens about 15 days throughout the summer months. And so it's been somewhat challenging to meet this load. You can see in these graphs, the light blue, the very top one is just our average load, and that's what we buy for. And then the bottom one, that light blue, is just a typical summer day. And then you can see that teal. That is the energy that shows up in the afternoon when we see these temperatures above 90 degrees. And that's primarily air conditioning driven, as people are turning on air conditioning in order to cool their homes and their businesses. So what's been challenging about this is that it's hard to buy for in advance because it's somewhat unpredictable. But it's also typically pretty expensive. So when things are hot here, likely the rest of California is also warm, which increases power costs throughout the state. So just a very recent example of this occurred over Labor Day weekend. You can see before that heat wave started, market prices very stable. What this is a graph of is market prices at 2 trading hubs in California. These are the 2 most common trading hubs in California, which we refer to as Northern Path 15 and Southern Path 15, or more commonly as Northern California and Southern California trading hubs. And you can see very stable energy prices leading up to that heat wave, although high for the market, about $100 a megawatt hour, but then starting to rise to over 800, and then, at the end of that event, well over $1,000 a megawatt hour for a couple of hours for those days. So this is the problem we have been trying to solve. And, oops, sorry about that. Go back. There we go. So there's a number of potential solutions to this that the staff has been working on for a number of years. And what we're recommending today is to pair a resource adequacy contract investment with dispatchable energy. So essentially, we're trying to get more value out of our resource adequacy contracts. But there are other potential solutions that we've looked at. So one is just demand side management, and that's certainly something that we'll continue to pursue. But we know that the scale is limited there. Essentially, what this is encouraging our customers and our businesses to use less during those evening and afternoon hours when prices are high. We will continue to really push this as much as we can, but we know during those hot days, we're still going to see our load increase just because of the air conditioning load that's needed. The second option that we've looked at is additional investments in renewable energy and battery storage. We are working on that, and we will bring forward recommendations to council both at the end of this month and the end of November. Very excited to add to the portfolio additional investments in solar and battery storage. But we know that that's not 100% going to solve the problem, because right now those technologies are most commonly 4-hour duration batteries, and 8-hour duration batteries. And so we do need some resources that can generate beyond those timeframes. And then finally, one thing that we looked at is just buying forward to meet our full peak load. So that's certainly an option, but it results in significant excess supply. So again, as I mentioned, these warmer days in San Jose typically occur about 15 times during the summer. So the rest of the summer, we'd be selling back that excess supply. So we concluded that's really not economically viable or cost effective. And then finally, one other option is products commonly called weather derivatives or options. Our risk management policy currently does not allow us to use these products, and that's mainly because we're not staffed to manage them. So our recommended solution is dispatchable energy. And first we thought we would describe exactly what that is. So really important to understand that this energy refers to sources of electricity that can quickly be turned on and off to meet customer load. And so most commonly in California, the technologies that are used to supply dispatchable energy are battery storage. And as I said, certainly we are leaning into that and have already contracted for significant amounts of battery storage and will bring forward additional recommendations, but it doesn't fully solve our problem. The second option is natural gas, and I would say that's the most common source of dispatchable energy in California today. And so that is what we're recommending, although we are recommending that these plants will run only a limited number of hours throughout the summer. And then finally, the other option is hydroelectricity, and that certainly is an option that we would like to pursue. However, these resources are in very limited supply, mostly because of the drought in California, but also because the hydro that is typically available from the Pacific Northwest utilities is commonly not available because increasingly they are retaining those resources to meet their own carbon reduction goals. So it's really important to note that all of these resources only run when they're needed and when the cost to run, which includes the fuel plus their operation and maintenance, is less than the market price for electricity. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jean Soleil, and she's going to walk through our solicitation and the contract structure for these contracts.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mayor and council members. As Lori indicated, this is, this load that we know it will manifest on hot days, but we don't know which hot days. We've been looking at solutions to this issue for several years. We did a solicitation in 2020 that resulted in an agreement, but not a dispatchable resource agreement. And then we did a lot more research and conversations with suppliers. We did a request for information on April 5th of this year, got significant additional information. And then on June 15th, we issued a solicitation for resource adequacy with the right to dispatch the energy. And we did note that to the extent anybody, any natural plants bid in, we would like to see techniques to reduce their carbon emissions. We got responses from 3 entities, 5 projects. There were 2 solar plus storage projects, 1 standalone storage project, and 2 natural gas plants. We did not short the 2 solar plus storage or the standalone storage projects because they were not competitive with similar projects that we're considering in a solicitation that we did just for clean resources, and they were not able to show us that they were really able to offer us the resource adequacy that we needed. The 2 projects, the 2 natural gas projects that we did shortlist, each comes with a technology to reduce carbon emissions. So the first one is a power plant owned by Middle River Power that will be paired with a 1-hour battery battery. And the plant and the battery will share one interconnection point, which means that one or the other can deliver power to the grid. They can't both do it at the same time. The second natural gas plant, they, as part of a contract that we're negotiating, would retrofit the plant so that it can burn a blend that includes natural gas and up to 30% green hydrogen. The contract structure, basically what we pay to the supplier, we pay them a capacity payment, which just means a monthly payment for them to be available as resource adequacy, which means that whenever the ISO calls on them because they need them to run to keep the system in balance, they have to run. And then in addition, we have the right to have them operate when their operation costs are below the market clearing price. So when that happens, when their cost to operate is below the market clearing price, we pay them their cost to operate, and we get the market clearing price from the market. So basically, we pay only, or we get that delta. What we get is we get resource adequacy, and we get energy that will generate during those high cost hours at a specified price. Next slide. So obviously, we understand that contracting with natural gas for a city that has very ambitious greenhouse gas reduction goals is something that we have to think about very carefully, which is why in our solicitation, we invited any gas plant that bid to present opportunities to reduce carbon emissions. And we were pleased that these two projects put these opportunities in. The Middle River Power Plant will add a battery, and that battery will be the first thing that operates. On a daily basis, that battery will charge at the lowest cost hours, which are also the hours when there's solar excess, and then they will discharge at the most expensive hour. So that's the first thing that will happen. If prices remain higher than the cost to operate the plant beyond that first hour that will be taken by the battery, then the plant will operate. But the developer, and we've looked at their estimates and they seem reasonable, estimates that adding the battery to the plant will reduce the times that the plant operates by 50 to 70%. These plants don't operate a lot anyway because they tend to be less efficient, more expensive to operate. They're peaker plants, easy to turn on and off, not too expensive to put in, but then a little more expensive to operate. So they don't operate that much anyway. And then with the battery taking on the first most valuable hour, it'll operate even less. The Sentinel Energy Center is going to add the capability to burn green hydrogen. This is something that the state and the environmental community is looking at very closely as another, it's essentially another form of storage. You're storing energy in green hydrogen. You create the green hydrogen using solar energy by splitting water. But the technology is not really up to burning 100% green hydrogen these days. Getting to burning a 30% blend is kind of state of the art. And at the times when we do burn that blend, we will reduce the emissions from that power plant when it operates by 11%. Now, we don't expect that we'll be burning a lot of green hydrogen early on because it's very expensive and it'll be our choice what to burn. But we do consider that participating in this project is participating in the transition to greener plants and learning a lot and creating that demand for green hydrogen and for these retrofits that will bring the prices down over time. Moreover, this agreement is a 10-year agreement, and we're hopeful that over that 10-year period, the infrastructure to develop green hydrogen will advance significantly and we'll be able to burn green hydrogen more often. Next slide. A little bit about the developers themselves. Middle River Power, they operate over 2 gigawatts of power plants in California, over 3 gigawatts of power plants in the United States. Here in California, they've developed an 100-megawatt solar project with 50 megawatts of batteries in Victorville, a 60-megawatt standalone battery in Casa Junction, and a 130-megawatt geothermal project in Casa Junction. Next slide, please. Sentinel, I should have made it clear from the beginning, both of these are existing power plants. Nobody's proposing here to add power plants. Instead, we're proposing to add technology to reduce emissions from existing power plants. The Sentinel power plant has been operating since 2013. It's jointly owned by 3 partners. Biggest partner is Diamond Generating, which is owned by Mitsubishi, so a big, well-established company, and then a couple of minority partners as well. Next slide. So we're happy to answer any questions. We thought you might be interested in how these projects might compare, for example, to just going with a standalone battery or a battery paired with solar. At current costs, I can tell you this because I'm in negotiations with standalone batteries and battery plus solar, and I hope to come to you with proposals in a couple of weeks and then in November. At the moment, for batteries that I would have the right to dispatch, when they're standalone, the costs are running about 50% more. If they're paired with solar, as you might expect, the cost of the battery really depends on how much I'm paying for the solar. If I'm overpaying for the solar, the battery is less expensive. If I'm not overpaying for the solar, the battery is more expensive, but costs are between 10 to 50% higher. Now, that might not seem that much higher, but there are other problems with just solar. My response to the list of solutions that Lori put up there is most of the above, and that's what we're pursuing. But the reality is that the rules in California do not allow you to meet all of your resource adequacy needs with batteries. We can only meet our resource adequacy requirements by about a fifth of that with batteries. And the reason for that is because batteries right now, they tend to operate 4 hours, and even the 8-hour batteries basically don't get you overnight. That's the current system. The system is transitioning to what we're calling the 24-hour slice system, which just means that on a monthly basis, I have to show I have resources that are able to operate all of the hours of the day for the load that I have in each hour. Batteries won't do that for me. I need something that's able to operate overnight. If we don't have something that operates overnight, we're basically buying from the system. The system has a big proportion of gas. And what we're proposing to do instead here is to contract directly with natural gas plants and require them to reduce their emissions. The other thing I'll say is that we understand that the city has a goal to be climate neutral by 2030, and we strongly support that goal. I'm very excited to bring an integrated resource plan to you, in a couple of weeks, which will show that to achieve that goal, we're going to have to add about 1,300 megawatts of new renewables by 2035. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're really excited to do that. But even that integrated resource plan showed a need for some natural gas to be available to meet capacity. So then how do we get to climate neutral by 2030 with some gas in our portfolios? Well, at the moment, the city's objective to be carbon neutral is on an annual basis, which means that for every megawatt hour of load in the year, I will generate a megawatt hour of clean energy. It won't always be at the same time that we have the load. So some of the time, instead of that power meeting our load, it will meet somebody else's load, but it will generate. And the other thing, as I mentioned, is that we are paying, because it's included in the price, for these plants to reduce their emissions in a way that's pretty creative and helps transition us to a cleaner future.
Thank you. And with that, we're open for any questions.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Let's go to the public first.
Claire?
And he thought of community energy, he thought of municipal power energy. To consider the public process is really vitally important to the future of this process and how we consider what is exactly a carbon-free future. There's a difference between clean energy and renewable energy, and I've dived into that in between of not quite knowing where to go. An understanding, clean energy is nuclear, and 10 years from now, 20 years from now, there's going to be a whole new series of nuclear options available to us that is going to be really tempting. I think we have to really, places like EBCE, I think have made a really important commitment to renewable energy and are on a really steady course to want to move towards a renewable energy future. So this item was interesting to me because I'm understanding renewable is going to have to be using some fossil fuels like natural gas this time. Hopefully that can change as things develop and evolve. And it looks like you've taken some nice steps here today. Thank you. It's my sincere hope that we can just be inventive towards the ideas of what can be solar. Solar on homes, at a personal local level is really important. And why not, consider, the use of dew technology as concepts of solar for everyone, and big, huge solar balloons out in space that can draw and bring in power to us. We can be inventive with solar. Let's focus on those kind of concepts instead of nuclear. Thank you.
Back to the council.
To the council, Councilmember Mahan.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Lori, Sean, and team. Great to get the update. Appreciate how detailed it was. You covered a lot of ground, and I certainly feel like I learned a bit. I think this makes sense based on my limited understanding of kind of the energy market and technology. It seems like as we try to continue to scale up renewables, this issue of dispatchable power is going to only become more and more important. So I had a few questions just to try to better understand it. One is on the gas peaker plants. I'm really curious about the economics. Are you saying that they only are running a few weeks out of the year?
A newer peaker plant. So that's exactly what we're saying, and how that works out for the developers, that they get a monthly capacity payment for the resource adequacy just to stand by. And so that's a product that we're required to buy to meet our reliability requirements. And then they operate when they're cost effective. So when their fuel costs and their O&M costs is less than the market, then they operate. But the reason, the primary reason that they can be there idle is that they get that fixed capacity payment for the resource adequacy.
So thanks. They basically get a subsidy from the state to be on standby.
For us, our customers, to be more clear.
Yeah, clearly, ultimately from the ratepayers. Right. But it's a public subsidy to be on standby.
But maybe I can just add a little bit to what Lori said. We have to provide resource adequacy. Whether we do it with these plants or somebody else, we have to provide resource adequacy. When we looked at, because you might be thinking, okay, great for the power plant, but what about for us? So we have to buy resource adequacy. I'm increasingly unhappy about paying for resource adequacy and not having the right to call on the energy when we need it. In this case, when we looked at the incremental cost for our load in those days, September 4th through the 9th, basically, what it told us is if you look at the non-RA portion of the costs of these agreements, given what we spent September 4th through the 9th, if we have 8 to 10 days in the year when it's above 90 degrees, these plants will pay for themselves. Typically, in the past, we've had an average of about 15 days, which are above 90 degrees a year. And we're looking at global warming driving additional heating, additional heat storms. So even though they don't operate often, they do deal with a problem that's a very specific San Jose problem. I mean, if you get closer to the coast, people don't have such hot days. If you go further inland, it's hot all the time, so people just turn on their air conditioners and you can buy for that. But we have this intermittent additional 20 to 40% load. And, you know, if you look at the amount in excess of the resource adequacy, we make that back if they're 8 to 10 days above 90 degrees in a year.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. And then I understood some of the actions that are being taken to mitigate the carbon intensivity of this, if you will. What does this action mean for the overall renewable mix of our power, the power that we're providing through San Jose Clean Energy? If we move forward here, how much of an impact is this?
Yeah, so there's no impact on our renewable mix. We will continue to supply. Right now, we're at 60% renewable energy. We'll continue to meet that. And we look forward to bringing you more information in our integrated resource plan of how we'll continue to drive that resource mix forward. Because these plants operate a very limited number of hours throughout the year, we expect even in the later years as we get to that 2030 goal, we can still meet our power mix objectives. And as Jean said, what we plan to do to be carbon neutral is effectively buy enough to offset the number of days that these plants are running, and so that we will be carbon neutral by 2030.
Right. At least on paper. I mean, it's still,
that's
we're
our
still
plan.
burning,
That's
we're still
our plan.
burning the gas, right?
Right.
We should acknowledge that. I think that's pretty important. Okay, and then wanted to try to better understand the battery technology. My understanding, you mentioned the 4 hours. My understanding is we're still a long way off from having kind of that technology be able to cover long stretches of time. So can you just help us understand a little bit better as we're trying to continue to invest in intermittent renewables, how much needs to change in the battery technology space and market over the next 10 years? I mean, this seems, from the math that I've seen in some of the books I've been reading, pretty daunting. How far off are we?
Yeah, quite a bit. You know, right now you're correct. The most common battery storage technology is 4 hours. 8 hours is definitely becoming more available, and we need to see more of that. And as I said, we really look forward to bringing you more details in our integrated resource plan. But, you know, it identified a significant amount of batteries, you know, I believe over 400 megawatts that we would have to add paired with paired with solar. But I would say the other option we have is you know, having more investments in wind, which do generate overnight and in the afternoon and the morning hours. If we can find more geothermal, that also helps balance the portfolio. And then if we could find hydro, that would be helpful as well. And so, you know, it'll be important to build a portfolio of a number of different resources in order to achieve those reliability goals. But you're right, there's going to have to be significant investment in batteries and significant improvement in the technology.
Okay. And then I know it got a stay of execution, if you will, but have we taken a position on Diablo Canyon as a city? I know it's prolonged now a little bit.
We have not, and you know, that happened late in the legislative session, and they did vote to extend the operation of Diablo Canyon, so it will continue to operate. However, we don't expect that our regulatory requirements to bring on additional resources to replace it will change. The state is really looking for all CCAs and utilities to continue to bring on cleaner resources so that we have enough resources on the grid to maintain reliability.
You're saying without nuclear?
Yes, so that once it finally retires, that there would be enough solar storage and other wind resources to replace it.
Okay, and then I assume we'll just continue to be getting updates on how this market's evolving. I mean, I love the vision and the direction we're going in. I'm just very worried that the available technologies, especially if we're not going to bet on nuclear, the batteries aren't even close to being there. We're ramping up intermittent renewables. Gas seems like the only option that's left at scale. And so as we move toward 2030, I hope you're going to keep us educated on whether or not our goals are realistic.
Yeah, and just this is Kip Harkness, Deputy City Manager, weighing in. As Jean mentioned, we will be coming forward with the Integrated Resource Plan, which it really is a deep dive into all of this and kind of a 20 and 30-year lookout. So your request will be granted sooner than maybe you wanted.
Great, look forward to reading it. Thank you. Oh, and I'll move the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Cohen?
Yeah, thank you. Some of the questions were already answered, and I asked you some of these questions last week. I'm looking at your sort of your slide about the transition, and there was already a conversation a little bit about the transition, and the importance that I place on phasing out natural gas. And while I appreciate the math that goes into the offset as saying that we're carbon neutral, I'm not going to rest on being carbon neutral, but due to math, because ultimately our goal is not just for us to be carbon neutral, but for our neighbors and everybody else to be carbon neutral. So we have to have enough capacity. We'll get there. This contract is meant to bridge us until some period in the not too distant future, as far as I remember, right? It was expires 2032. Is that right?
Right. The contracts, one of them is a 10-year agreement and the other is a 12-year.
So the idea is that at that point, we will have other sources and other capacity that will replace the need to have this as a surge capacity?
Yeah, that is our hope. And as Councilmember Mann pointed out, we'll need to continue to monitor the technology. And as Kip pointed out, we will bring forward our integrated resource plan. And that's a plan that we have to update every 2 years. So it will come back to you every 2 years, and it will be an assessment of where we are with the technology and the resources that we need to add to the portfolio.
I'm frustrated by the fact that when we talk about battery, we seem to only be talking about one type of battery and not gravity battery, not water battery, not thermal storage, lots of things that other countries are using that actually are significant battery storage, but much more natural. And it's surprising to me that we don't have some players out there who are bringing some of those technologies online faster, but I'm hoping that they will.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We are hoping that technology matures and that some of those resources become available over the next 10 years. We did see some of that in a solicitation that we did with California Community Power, which is a joint powers association that we're members of, and we hope to see more projects like that through our collaboration with that entity.
Yeah, I'll even add that we shortlisted a couple of new technologies that I was very excited about. But as we dug deeper into those particular projects, they just hadn't gotten far enough, along the development path in terms of really getting the interconnection and the site and the technology. But it's something that we and our partners in CC Power are very interested in, and even considering potentially putting out a solicitation for just these new types of technologies.
And it's only 2022, and maybe by 2025, we'll be buying this technology in larger numbers. Good. The other question I have is about the hydrogen. So we talk about, hydrogen's generated by spending energy to turn water into hydrogen. So it's sort of a duplicate energy kind of situation where so the idea is, again, you're using renewable energy at peak times to generate hydrogen. Is that the idea? And then that hydrogen is clean during the off-peak times where you have to ramp it up?
Right. So we would use solar energy to split water to create the hydrogen, and then the hydrogen fuel would be burned in the natural gas plant in the afternoon hours.
Okay. And I'll also just point out, and this is more of a statement, that while we're talking about this, and it seems like it's counter to our goals, that the state did just pass legislation this year to go to have 35% of our energy generated by wind within, I forget the number of years, 5-7 years or whatever the number is. That expansion of wind energy will bring a lot more generation online that is 100% renewable and clean. So there will be, it's just that we're in that transition period now where we don't yet have all of those sources online. And I am glad that we're still able to tap into nuclear. I've said we have to keep using nuclear until all of the natural gas is gone, but that's, the debate that others are going to decide on. But, it's not going to be decided in this room. Just the last question. Are we going to, with this process, can we continue to ensure our customers in total green, that 100% of what they are receiving is clean, renewable energy?
Yes, we go through an audit every year to ensure that those customers receive 100% renewable energy. So we'll continue to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, other questions? I'll jump in with mine. Folks are still thinking of theirs. The two options that we're moving forward with, as you can imagine, I have a bias for the battery against the hydrogen, giving us an opportunity to actually still continue. Well, anyway, I guess, let me just ask, are we charged any operational cost if we're just running off the battery and the gas peaker plant is not actually turned on?
So I hope I'm understanding your question.
Yeah.
We pay a capacity payment and get resource adequacy from a combination.
Yeah.
The battery, we will pay to charge it.
Okay.
So,
Right.
when it has to charge up and take power from the grid, we pay for that.
Yeah.
And then when it discharges, we get the revenues. Now, we lose a little bit in terms of efficiency, but we're charging at the cheapest hours, hopefully the solar hours, and discharging in the evening. Then, if after we use up the battery, there's an hour that the plant has to operate, then we would pay the plant's operating costs and get the market revenue.
And when it was, the slide was up there describing that we would pay the market price for the energy that, and I'm trying to remember if it was off of both of these or is just off of the gas plus, I'm sure it was the gas hydro mix or the gas plus battery mix. But what it said on the slide was that we would pay the market price. And I just wanted to make sure I understood what the market price was. Is it the market price in that moment at 4 p.m. when it's 103 degrees out? Or is it the market price that we'd be paying well in advance, is like that?
Yeah, and
price?
We would not pay, we would get paid the market price.
All right, we get paid the market price.
And we get paid the market price at the time that the plant operates. So that would be during that hot hour.
That's the high rate, yeah.
In that hot hour, that's why it's economic to run the plant at that hour. Most hours it's not.
Yeah.
Which, maybe to answer your question, which offsets the cost that our load is charged for that additional load that shows up in the market on those days.
Right, okay. And then last question, really going back to one of the, I think it was the very first slide when we were looking at all of our options dealing with peak power challenges. One option in a perfect world would be conservation in that moment when energy is most expensive. And I know that we experimented last year with a partner, and I'm trying to remember the name of the partner. I actually signed up for it, and bluntly, we had some challenges in my own case. Happy to talk about offline because I'm not sure if it was a perfect fit for a lot of folks. But I'm just wondering to what extent we fully explored opportunities. For example, if we've got a person with an account who's willing, for example, to be texted every time we anticipate the next 8 hours are going to be the most expensive electricity hours of their life, when we can text them in advance and say, hey, this is a great time to turn off that turn off that machine. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And we plan to do more on that, but I'm very, very proud of our account management team. You know, over the Labor Day weekend holiday, it was very, very important for customers to reduce electricity use. So we made a number of calls directly to our commercial customers to ask them to conserve, also ask them about backup generation because the state was wanting that. But we plan to do more of that in the future to really, look at demand response programs to both help our customers save, energy costs, but, that also helps us save energy, which keeps our rates lower. And so that's something that we absolutely want to do more of. And as you mentioned, there's a number of demand response providers out there, and the team is very much looking into that on the programs and the account management side of, making sure our customers are aware that they can save energy. So essentially, we plan to, do a lot more communications about that, but also launch additional programs to incentivize that so that our customers actually reap some of the financial benefits of their actions.
Yeah, how likely is it that, say, in the next year or so, we could get up and running with, say, a texting app or something that could enable customers really to save money and for us to be able to avoid those peak challenges?
Yeah, that's something we'll have to look at as specific texting. Certainly we are making calls, especially to our large energy consumers to have them conserve.
You can appreciate why I'm less enthusiastic about that. A, it's labor intensive. B, we're just pushing people on the peaker plants, which we really don't want to do. I think we'd all really love for everybody just to turn off the lights if they don't need them. But
yeah, it's certainly something we're happy to look into, and we can come back to you on. It is a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for considering it. I don't think we have any other comments, so let's vote.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Cohen?
Aye.
Crosco? Davis?
Yes.
Esparza? Arenas? Foley?
Aye.
Mahan?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Liccardo?
Aye.
Crosco? Arenas?
Aye.
And Esparza. Thank you. Motion
All right.
passes.
Thanks, everybody. I think we're now on to open forum.
Blair?
Thanks for the meeting today. I guess first off, an important reminder that in all of our work towards a sustainable future and a future of electric energy use, it's an important concept to me to remind that we really have to be considering the worker rights issues of all the people who will be mining all the rare earth minerals for the future of our electric future. And boy, just to always think of how their worker rights can be respected. If we think of that along with the good future of sustainable energy we're considering, that's a mighty one too. And it's an important concept to be considering always. Thank you. And as always, what I'll be talking about this fall is concepts of better openness and accountability and the civil protection ideas that the everyday public, we can't have options and choices with the future of data collection at this time. We're at kind of that apex moment where we can talk about these things a bit more. There'll be a Smart Cities committee meeting tomorrow, and I'll be more than happy to talk about those things at that time. Yeah, we're really at an apex, and it's important to try to address how everyday community can ask questions of data collection of our electronic billboards, of all the smart streetlight technology that's being put in place. We actually can have choices at this time. It's interesting how that works in life. We're at that time where we can ask those questions. I hope it can be an open, shared, good experience for all of us this fall. Thank you. And I guess to conclude, Ukraine is making some really serious advances right now. It's the advances, if we worked on peace now, are we going to be asking the same questions 2 years from now? Thank you.
Back to the council.
All right, thank you. Let's adjourn the meeting. Have a great day, everybody.
Wait, I think.
Forgive me, we have a member of the community who'd like to speak.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir. Why don't you come on down? You can fill it. No problem. Just come on down. You can fill out a yellow form on your way out. Thanks.
I'm in here, and I have to apologize.
Sir, don't, sir, you're not allowed to.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, if you just stand at the mic, that'd be great.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No problem.
I apologize. All right. So, been here for 33 years. I've never been here in this location. I went to the State of the City address, and I saw you, Mayor, and you guys are. I thank you guys for everything that you're doing for the city, because we need you guys, and we need more people participating. Okay, it was my first time I went to the State of the City address, and it was amazing. I ran into all kinds of great people. But then I saw an article on Reddit, and it said the 3 slowest cities to recover from the shutdown is San Jose, San Francisco, and LA. And I think, San Jose deserves better. And I've got a plan for that. We're the largest city in the Bay Area. We're the most beautiful. We're the safest out of all 3. And I think it needs a marketing plan. I told you that the other day, a week or 2 ago, and I've got that. We're the self-proclaimed city, or capital of Silicon Valley, right? Yeah. Was that passed a law or anything? No, I think it was just self-proclaimed. I think we should be now the San Jose Bay Area, right? Why can't we be the San Jose Bay Area? They've got in Gold Gate Bridge. The cards, I don't know if you can pass those out, but we've got Sandra Day O'Connor in the clouds, in the sky. She's amazing. You know what? She swam with the sharks. She swam with the sharks. She's an amazing woman, set precedences. I've got images in the cloud of a shark above her. Okay? It's amazing what God has given me in the clouds after waking up from an 18-year depression. It's amazing. I have got ideas that I think will put San Jose back on the map. I just need to know who to talk to. That's it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm
Thank you very
sorry I
much.
didn't know the protocol.
No worries. Have a great day, sir. All right, the meeting's adjourned.